All right. Did anyone else last night get asked to be on lizard lick towing? Cause, yeah, okay. Anyway, all right. So, my name is Steven. She kind of gave a nice little introduction there, but I'm search engine geek, founder of Secura Search. It's basically a company where we deal with some web and information security, identity theft stuff, a little bit of anti-piracy stuff, which might tweak some of you the wrong way, but trust me, with what's coming up in this presentation, you'll enjoy a little bit of this. So, musician, gamer, Redditor. Any other Redditors in here? Okay, sweet. Yeah, always looking to network, meet new people, so come up and say hello. If you have any questions about the stuff I'm going over or whatever, just feel free to get in touch. And 2,600 readers since 1998, which isn't as long as a lot of you in here, I'm sure, but 2,600 readers, where are you at? Sweet, all right, cool deal. All right, so we have a problem, and the problem is that the same thing that takes us to cakes and pies in Raleigh, North Carolina, takes us to scans of Social Security cards. Now, this is just a handful of hundreds of these that I've found just using Google, Bing, and some niche search engines. And some of these were even on a brothel website. So like the men and women who were applying to work there, I guess, had to prove their age and whatnot. So these guys stuck all their like NSFW images and these and everything else in one directory. Pretty ridiculous. So tax documents, right? There's so many of these, it's ridiculous. This one in particular, I find these and it kind of makes me a little bit sad inside because you've got this person, husband and wife, right? And then they've got their 3 kids here who are all under 17 with their social security numbers. So theoretically, the identity theft that people could commit on these kids who wouldn't know until they turned of age with, you know, maybe their credit gets destroyed or something. It's a trip. So these are like abundant, and the queries that you have to do to get to these aren't too complex. I'm just going to go over a base level of stuff here. I'm not going to really dig in because I don't want to, like, you know, empower the wrong people, so to speak. But if you want to talk in private about this stuff, I'll definitely show you some more. Credit cards, front and back. These up top here were from a florist in Thailand. And basically, every customer that came through, they would like scan the credit cards front and back, right? And there were hundreds of these just in this one directory. So, you know, the thing with the type of stuff that I mostly search for, I'm not just looking for text in databases or documents or whatever. You know, I'm finding these high resolution scans of this super private, confidential information that you wouldn't want people to get, right? And then in a little bit, I'll show you how easy it can be to find this stuff. It's like scary easy. All right. And then these driver's license photos. Some of these are from that same brothel website. And, you know, even like people from North Carolina here, you know, another one from North Carolina. Yeah, so passports, visas, birth certificates. You know, people just take pictures of their stuff and treat it however, you know. Okay, now I just like blew through all these, right? And it just looks like it's a cool presentation and whatnot. But this is like my little take on a single death is a tragedy, a million deaths is a statistic. This one is kind of like, you know, the fact that you can find a social security card or a credit card front and back scan is kind of like a big deal to me, you know? Like, just imagine if you're the person. Sometimes I find things and I like email people, try to get their information, contact them, say, hey, your stuff is in search engines. Here's what you need to do. Send Google, a message at this URL to have your information taken down, blah, blah, blah. But, just imagine if you're on the business end of someone finding your information and it's not even necessarily maybe your fault. There's companies that mishandle data all the time, as I'm going to show here in a second. So that brings us to our next thing. Like, how is this possible, okay? So the ever-increasing power and number of web crawlers, all right? So Google is the focus here, but Bing, Yandex, Baidu, all these other search engines are becoming equally powerful and finding the same types of information, just, different. So you've got that. Then you've got careless and or clueless admins. That one's pretty self-explanatory. End user ignorance or stupidity. It's not just people being stupid with their stuff. It's kind of like technology now is excelling at a rate where someone can register a domain, use it to store their music, their personal files, whatever, their backups. They don't realize that there's stuff out there like 80legs.com. Every 3 months or so, they crawl every registered domain on the web. So people may think, hey, I bought this website. I'm storing my information here. I haven't posted anything to it anywhere. How could anyone find it, right? So all of this kind of like creates this problem where you can just find this information abundantly, right? So going back to the web crawlers thing, I kind of mentioned Google and all of them, but also niche search engines. There's a ton out there, like FTP search engines, document search engines. They're great for finding stuff that's been out there for years. 80legs.com, not just indexing data, but also identifying and understanding data within data. So, like on Reddit, there's this bot I've been seeing going around, and what it tries to do is anytime anyone posts like a meme, it identifies the meme, and then it recognizes the text within the meme, and then it automatically writes a comment of what the text is from the picture. So, this is just some bot doing this on Reddit. Eventually, if Google decided, or Bing or whoever else, they could turn on some kind of functionality where, let's say you want to search for social security numbers, some range of numbers, and it won't only look for it in text, but it'll look for it in images, that string of text in images. So, stuff like that. The more connected everything becomes, the more there will be to find an index. This is kind of like the web being more accessible to people who do not understand how crawlers work, which, why should they? Why should the everyman have to understand exactly how a web crawler works, So I think it's kind of an issue of education, but then, the power of stuff that, everyday people just aren't even cognizant of. Search engines do not care what they index so long as they're able to index. I kind of feel like at times Google should care a little more about the stuff that they index, and they've demonstrated to some degrees that they do care, but it's very minuscule. And for instance, for a while there, they were contacting webmasters, letting them know, hey, you have malware on your site. And so the reason they're contacting them is because it interests their business model that Google users are hitting websites with malware and getting infected, then that looks bad or makes Google look bad, blah, blah, blah. So if it interests them, they'll kind of get into it. But anyway, I don't think this kind of stuff that I'm going into is going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So, all right, clueless and careless admins. I found this just a couple of weeks ago, actually. This was like an internet marketing company. You buy traffic from them. You could advertise through them. Direct CPV, I'll give you their name. So this was a directory full of hundreds of scans of credit cards and driver's license and these credit card authority forms or authorization documents. It's like these documents that Direct CPV had people fill out their information to give them permission to charge their card, right? Here is one of the examples of them. Card type, number, expiration date, code on the back of the card, address, signature. Look, this was 2/21/13. So literally, when I first found this, I could refresh the site every few hours, and there would be new information populating into the directory. So it was like I could have contacted some of these people the same day they submitted it and been like, hey, just found your stuff. So, oh, here's my favorite part here. Let's see. Your completion of this authorization form helps us to protect you, our valued customer, from credit card fraud. All information entered on this form will be kept strictly confidential by our company. Ridiculous, right? So, one more point about this. When I found this directory, I called them, I let them know. They took it down within 5 minutes. They never contacted me back. The structure of the URL had this thing in it, osi.attachments. So I searched for that string in Google and URL and found another directory that was hosting the exact same information that they kept up for days after I told them about this one. You would think they would go check all the other, wherever they do this. So anyway, just clueless or careless admins. End user ignorance. Okay, so this particular query, yields a lot of results. And, as you get into them farther, it's just a bunch of garbage. But there is an astonishing number of positive hits here with people's social security numbers. And it's like from educational institutions, companies, hospitals, like money-making people that have their social security numbers in documents that they don't realize is like public. And a lot of these industries knowingly make these documents public, like resumes and stuff like that, and people will include this stuff in their social security number. So it's ridiculous. Okay. End user stupidity. How many of you know need a debit card on Twitter? If you don't, go to twitter.com/need-a-debit-card. People will get their credit cards in the mail or something, and they'll take a picture of it. Got my card, check it out. But then you have people like this. I have someone's bank card from last night, and they freaking post the picture of it. What are you doing, right? This is crazy. So, like almost every day, these people post stuff that, so look, 12,000 followers. Twitter is known for having a lot of spam followers, but when this jumped off, like, there's a lot of people that see this information. So if you ever see your card here, then because of people like this, this is more incentive for you not to get your bank card somewhere, right? So, reprise of careless, clueless admins. There is an alternate power company in Texas, and I was looking for SQL databases and different kinds of information dumps, and I happened upon this directory, and this was look at these are plain text files. One is .text, one is .text.back, .text basically, 20 megs, and every single record was name, address, phone number, credit card, digits on the back of the card, social security number, just everything for like 14,000 people. Not all of them were like this. This wasn't for customers. I actually called them, talked to the guy, like the CEO of the company, and this was the company that would take orders for them. And they had this. They were doing something with their servers, and they briefly opened up this one section on their website that they had in robots.txt. And if any of you know now, Google doesn't care about robots.txt. They will index what you have in robots.txt and then in the description say, this was in robots.txt. It's crazy. So just a few days, this was open, and I just happened to search at the right time and find it. So they had to like go through all this data and figure out whose was real, contact them, offer remedial services or whatever. So anyway, all right, let's go Google diving, which is like dumpster diving, but a little more fun. Okay. Credit cards are so easy to find. Okay. Now, if you really want to find this stuff, you have to be prepared to do a lot of scrolling because the good stuff ends up farther down. So if you have patience, then a query as simple as this. You go to Google Images, you type in credit card, okay? Then you find a card that looks like this. You know, you've got a nice front view of the card, you know, nothing weird angles or whatever. You click on that card. You know what? Let me see if I can do a live demo of this since I think I have internet here. Hang on just a second. All right. Sweet. All right, so hello, water. All right, so you click images, credit card, right? So you scroll down just a little bit and look for something like this card, and you click on it, and then you click more sizes over here, okay? That'll give you more sizes of the same image if it sees that image. Like this is a fairly common clip art, whatever image, right? The trick here is to click where it says more sizes and then click visually similar. You'll get a lot of clip art here too. So what I've found is all the stuff that I find, it's like high-res scans or people taking pictures of their card with their camera. Sort the size by large. Then you'll filter out a lot of the garbage. And I'm not going to scroll too far because this is when you can start getting into really finding credit cards. So you don't even have to be doing advanced querying in the first place to find this stuff. It's just here. Do this with Social Security card, SSN card, credit card with no space. You know, like there's all these little things you can do to try to like unmine this information. How many of you are familiar with reverse image search through Google? Okay, that's like my favorite thing ever in the world. Presumably, I've done this before for people. Take a picture of your card, blur out your number, whatever. Upload that image of your card, then search for similar by what your card looks like. And you can find some good stuff like that. So that's how easy it can be to find this stuff. All right, reading view. Okay. All right, so a quick primer. If you want this presentation, I will give it to whoever wants it. So you can have this and then whatever they're recording. So I kind of want to like fire up some passion for Google hacking. I know it's like low-hanging fruit and stuff, but it's just fun and fascinating. So these are pretty much all the operators that I commonly use, that anyone who does this commonly uses. And if you're into any kind of like programming, scripting, I mean, this stuff is just like simple for you. But then it's how you put it together to make what you can from it. All right, throw the kitchen sink at it, right? If your search query yields no results or unintended results, change things up. I know that sounds obvious, but I'll show you in a minute what I mean by that. Start thinking in terms of things that don't make sense. Sometimes when you take some operators and you throw them together in certain ways, you get these really interesting results, or sometimes you expect a certain result from using certain operators in your queries, and it just goes awry. So I'll operators can be extremely fickle, so that's that. Take time to think your queries through, or just dive in, man. Just start going for it and then modifying as you go from there. So what do you want to find? Private videos and photographs, confidential proprietary information, databases, backups of emails, people's hard drive backups, virtual machines. That's one of my favorite things to search for now. Custom application files, codes, scripts, extensions, plugins, all that stuff. Usernames and passwords, apps, games, prawns, credit cards, social security numbers, all that stuff I was talking about earlier, right? Just what do you want to search for, and then you can like seek out to do it. So for example here, searching for virtual machines, all right? Tried this query, entitle, index of, Windows, file type, and then like a few common virtual machine file types. That brought up no results, okay? That's because the file type operator acts fickle and Google acts like it doesn't know what these file types are. So you just remove file type, and then you've got 7,500 results, which, you know, of course, a lot of them are going to be garbage, but your top results, you're finding good virtual machines, right? Like this one. 20 gig Windows 7 virtual machine image. What can you do with this? I found one from Georgia Tech University that had their VPN stuff in it. I used Magic Key Finder to get the licenses for Office and Windows 7, and yeah, there you go. So it's great. All right, thinking in direct and indirect terms, okay? This is one of the things that's brought me the most success with the stuff that I search for, okay? Don't just search for the exact extensions of what you're looking for. If there's something related, search for those too, because sometimes Google, it won't index, if you want to find virtual machines, sometimes they won't index, you know, the VDI file or whatever, but they will some file that's related to it. So you can look for directories that house data related to what you're looking for, and then you can do like directory traversing from there and start finding some good stuff. So whenever you look for stuff, looking by file formats is like one of the best things that you can do. So this, again, I'll give you this presentation or whatever. This Wikipedia link, list of file formats. Like, let's say you want to look for databases. You go to this link, you scroll down to databases or virtual machines, and then there's every freaking file type that you want to search for to try to find some stuff, right? All right, this is my favorite. I wanted to figure out how to use Google as an FTP search engine. So I tried to negate HTTP and HTTPS in the URL. That brought up nothing. It took me a while to add in URL FTP to that, because why should that make sense, right? You would think it would return whatever's not here, but I needed to do this. 14 million results, all FTPs. All right? So if you love searching FTPs, this stuff is money. Here's a good example here. Okay, are any of you familiar with Stack and Lou? They do a lot of the Google hacking presentations lately at DEF CON and Black Hat and stuff like that. These two guys are awesome. So I got this little tidbit from them. site:/com:*. That looks for domains using uncommon ports. It's kind of a way you can do port scanning through Google too. If you do that with these various domains and then you look for FTPs, you know, there's not too many results here, but what's here is interesting. So you can really start digging in and doing some crazy stuff like this to find good stuff. Okay, I wasn't going to do this, but I have a feeling that a lot of you guys will enjoy this, okay? Recently, within the past month or so, I started getting into the anti-piracy industry and digging in and just looking at it, finding what I think the issues are, trying to find solutions to, you know, I'm on both sides of this coin. I understand why, you know, rights holders want to protect their stuff, but at the same time, these automated solutions and all this crap that's just throwing out these blind DMCA notices and stuff, I hate that. That's just garbage. So what if I told you the spammiest searches yield instant results, okay? What do I mean that? Okay, how many of you have seen this in your Google searches? Okay, everyone look on their computers. They have cool files. Anyway, if you've ever actually read the DMCA notice, I never, ever read those. I would just see this and be like, oh, well, something that was interesting maybe that I wanted was removed, or someone complained and removed this, right? What did I search for here? I searched for Adobe CS6 download. Why would you ever search for that to find Adobe CS6, right? Well, if you click read the DMCA complaint, the complaints have all the good links. What is that? So, basically, anything that Google removes out of their index by request, they link to the Chilling Effects site with the complaint. So, think of the keywords that would yield the most spammy freaking results for what you want to find. Go straight to the bottom of the page. Oops. Look for these. Go read the freaking notice. Get your links, okay? Now, this got me thinking when I did this. Okay? Chillingeffects.org. If these DMCA notices are targeting people that have links to infringing content, and Chilling Effects has these complaints public, are the bots targeting them? Okay? So first, let's see if we can find Adobe Photoshop stuff in the stuff on chillingeffects.org. Sure enough, tons of results from the DMCA notices of what you want, right? Google has this thing called Transparency Report. Everything that there is that they receive about DMCA notices or any of that is here. Any way you want to mine this data, sift through it, it's awesome. So I wanted to see for Chilling Effects, right, how many, if any, notices had been sent to Google to remove content from Chilling Effects. Down here, 393 URLs requested for removal, right? Oops. So when you click that, when you click 393 here, or Chilling Effects, then you get taken to this other page, and it shows you who sent those reports, okay, who the content owners are. The way this industry works, Microsoft hires Mark Monitor, Marketly, and then another one that I'll show you to find all this stuff for them, send the notices on their behalf, okay? That's how this works. So when you click through to the report some more, okay, you can see the specific requests that were sent to Google on what date, who the owner is, who reported it, and how many URLs from that domain, okay? So on this date for this request, Leak ID sent 3 URLs from chillingeffects.org to be removed from Google's index. These are the URLs, okay? Look at these top 2. These are like generic URLs. This is like trying to ask if you run a WordPress site and you have domain.com/categories, and they ask to remove that, okay? Now, the bottom result here is the one that actually has something, which I'll show you in a second. Okay. Now, this column, this number 3, represents the number of URLs that were submitted to Google to be removed from this domain. This number represents the number of URLs they did not remove from their index, from the request. Google safehouses Chilling Effects because they publicize all the DMCA stuff. This was the notice that was sent, okay? This is in one of the requests on the Chilling Effects site that has all these links that Google is linking to, right? So, conclusion. One of the best ways to find wares, right, is to search for your spammy phrase and hit straight for the DMCA notices. Doesn't even require crazy search engine hacking stuff. All right? So long as this stuff is public, Google is making it easy to find pirated content, especially as awareness is created for this kind of stuff, right? So Google protects the Chilling Effects website. This is backwards thinking. This is not a solution. This is Google appeasing people. This is automated solutions, making money hand over fist to send requests that really don't do anything because all the links are still there, right? Now, they send requests to the sites to try to get the content removed from the site as well, but I can tell you that a lot of sites don't give a crap about DMCA notices, all right? So, all right, awesome Firefox add-ons. If you want to get into doing like the Google hacking stuff or you're already into it, you need these add-ons, okay? Remove Google redirects. This is the most awesome add-on ever, okay? What this does is if you go to Google and you're searching for documents, let's say site:gov or military confidential 2013 file type docx. All right. So a lot of this is BS, but you can go through this and find some interesting stuff. But you probably can't see it, but usually if you hover over a Google result down here in the bottom, it's their humongous redirect link. You can't right-click and save the link or copy the link. With this, it removes all that garbage, and you can right-click here and say Save Target As or Copy Link Location, and it's the link to what you want to send it to, all right? This plugin, or that add-on, is my favorite for that reason. Okay, Unlinker. Unlinker is really awesome too. If you start getting into searching for images, all right, so let's say title mix of Windows 7. Okay, hopefully nothing unsavory is going to pop up here because it does quite often. So let's see what happens. Okay, good. Forums, overclock workbench. Let's say view original image. All right, get rid of this. Go to the directory. Nah, dang it. Didn't index. I'll find another one here real quick. All right, yeah, I wanted to mention this too. For those of you who are familiar with this, okay, adding a period between your words is the same as encasing the words in quotes. It's exactly the same. You'll see this a lot. People will still put the dot. It's like redundant. It won't screw up your query if you do this, but I pretty much use dots instead of quotes these days. All right, if this doesn't do it, then I'm just going to explain what this does. Image mofos. All right. So much for the good demo. Par for the course today, yep. Okay, so anyway, what this does is, okay, how many of you are familiar with seeing an open index with a list of files? Okay, most of us are. Good. What this add-on does is you right-click when you're in that index, and if you're searching for images, you click Unlinker to be, show you here, Unlinker. It's got a little smiley face or whatever. What that does is, instead of having the links, it like redoes them so that everything that's an image appears in that directory as if they were like image sourced or whatever in HTML. So for me, when I'm looking for credit cards and sensitive information, oftentimes these things are like strewn in massive directories with tons of images. So I can just right-click, unlinker, and then look through everything quickly. I used to like just grab the whole index with something, wget or whatever, but that's pointless. Just use that unlinker. So if you do that, there's that little tip. Docs Online Viewer, basically that's you don't need to have like Office to look at PowerPoint X files or DocX files. You can just have this Docs Online Viewer to look at just about any document file type within the browser. Fire FTP, this like allows you to have an FTP client in a tab in Firefox. So if you do like the Google as an FTP search engine and you're looking through cool stuff in FTPs, you can just open this FTP in a new tab and it works great. So that's a good one. Google image search, I should have said reverse image search because that's what it is. With this plugin, if you see an image on a website, let's say there's a low resolution image, you want to find a higher resolution of it, you just right click that image and then you say reverse search in Google and it goes and does the reverse search for you without you needing to like copy the URL or any of that stuff. All right. So all this is just the tip of the iceberg. And Google Diggity is these guys from Stack and Lou, okay, Fran Brown and Rob Reagan. They're the ones I mentioned earlier who go around to all the conferences talking about this stuff. They have this tool called Google Diggity, and basically with it, they allow you to scrape Google for any kind of data that you want. You can sign up for like hidemyass.com, sign up for their list of proxies. It's like $25 for a lifetime, and they'll mail you this massive list of good proxies daily. You can import that list of proxies into Google Diggity and then just scrape Google for hundreds of thousands of links related to whatever you're interested in searching for. But that's not it. They do all kinds of stuff like Google Code Search. They brought it back because they like scrape Google Code Search and then they let you search for like Amazon EC2 keys in people's source code and then go there and wreak havoc if you want. So check out Google Diggity because it is the shiznit. Google Hacking for Penetration Testers. This book is getting some age on it, but it's still as relevant today as it was when Johnny Long wrote it and then updated it for version 2. It's dense. It's like a humongous book. Really awesome. Get on YouTube, search for Stack and Lou, or search for Johnny Long. They're pretty much the people who have taken this Google hacking thing into prime time, and they have great presentations on this stuff. Online documents. I basically wrote out a query that I'll show you. Okay. Just thinking in terms of searching for everything. Let's say you want to find documents on Google hacking, right? Google hacking file type PDF or file type so yeah, this is a good way for you to go through and look for documents related to Google hacking. And I can tell you that some of these people have made some interesting stuff public in these documents. So if you're interested in this stuff, I highly recommend doing a query like this to look for awesome documents about Google hacking. So if you, like I said, with this presentation, I'll give it to you, and then this link will just take you to an awesome query that I wrote for that. For you Redditors, /r/open directories. This is a subreddit dedicated to people finding stuff in open indexes, and they just post it for everyone to check out. Really awesome resource there, okay? Bing query language. Bing arguably has more awesome search operators than Google does. So you can really dig in there. They document everything about their operators, whereas Google doesn't really anymore. Other search engines, Bing. I know Bing gets laughed at, but I find a lot of stuff in Bing that I do not find in Google when I do some of these same searches for credit cards and stuff like that, okay? So Give Bing a chance. Shodan. Anyone familiar with Shodan? Okay, cool. Shodan is dope. Okay, they basically crawl the web for web banners on devices, FTPs, everything. You can find some really trippy stuff out there, like printers that are on the web that are open, stuff like that. Really cool stuff. Napalm FTP, it's a search indexer, an old one, but still really good. DocStock, you would not believe the people who have posted their tax documents on DocStock, okay, publicly. And the great thing about DocStock is that you go through it and you can see how many views a document has had. So you're like, wow. It's crazy. Pastebin, tons of stuff on Pastebin. And then lastly, the Google Hacking Database, which if you check out Google Diggity, they like automatically have the Google Hacking Database. And basically what that is a huge collection of what's called Google Dorks, and it's just like pre-made queries for like whatever, like everything except for finding credit cards and social security cards. Like with Google Diggity, you can take a website, plug it in, and then it'll throw all of these queries into Google for that website to see if any of this information is found from that website. So that's a good way to like test your site or your client's sites or company sites or whatever for like, whatever. All right, so yo dog, I heard you like questions, so I asked the question to see if you have any questions. Any questions? All right. So with that, here's my information. If you'd like to contact me, if you want this presentation or anything, I'd be glad to give it to you. Let me know.